Hello and welcome to Mayhem with your host, May.
Hey there. Today we're going to be talking about Kismet moments. So this morning I get a blog from a certain Lutheran pastor out of Denver. Her name's Nadia Bolz-Weber. She's done a lot of amazing work. Her books are all super inspirational. My sister Jessie introduced me to her, and I have since then voraciously read and had been watched everything that she's put out. She's the lady who took all of the promise rings that girls in the evangelical Christian movement would wear that said that they wouldn't have sex before marriage, and she melted them all down. They're purity rings or something like that. She melted them all down, and she created a sculpture of a vagina, and she gave them to Gloria Steinem. This is Nadia Bolz-Weber. She's amazing. Anyway, so she has this blog that she posts every week or so, and this week she posted a memorial post to Rachel Held Evans. Rachel Evans is a Christian writer. She's written quite a few books. I am currently reading a book called Womanhood for a Year or something. It is about, she takes all the ideals and everything that the Bible talks about what a woman should be, and for a year she lives those ideals. So, she called her husband master for a month, because you're supposed to honor your husband. It's kind of a fun read, but she also really digs deep into the history of the Bible. It's called A Year of Biblical Womanhood. And she digs deep, and she does a lot of research, and she talks about all the different women in the Bible, and she tells stories about women that are in the Bible that I've never heard of before. It's a beautifully written book. It's very thoughtful. So I got up this morning, and because I always get up about an hour earlier than everybody else, I was reading. And so I read this blog by Nadia Bolz-Weber, where she got a memorial tattoo for Rachel Held Evans because they were really close friends. And she talked about why she got the tattoo and everything, but I didn't really know the deep meaning because I hadn't read a whole lot of Rachel Held Evans' work. And then I picked up her book to read a chapter in it, and it was exactly the chapter about the tattoo that Nadia got. And it was really weird, and it was just like one of those moments where this is exactly where I should be right now. Because those two things had little to do with each other, and for me to have one happen and then the other right after each other was really crazy. And then later on in the morning, me and Tisa was pulling out some of her old music and singing, and bringing out some of her old notebooks, and she happened to find a notebook where she was working on there's a movement now where you go on stage and you tell stories. And she had done it a few times, and so she wrote a story to tell on stage. And so she was reading it to me, and we were talking about storytelling. And then Elias comes downstairs, and my son is special. I love him to pieces, but he will talk about video games until your ears fall off and bleed. This is the way he is. He's just, yeah, that's great, Mom, but let me tell you about FNAF. Let me tell you about Minecraft. Let me tell you about Pokemon. Let me tell you about this. That's great, Mom, that's great, but let me tell you about this. So this morning it was all about Five Nights at Freddy's, FNAF. And so every time I would say something to him, he would bring it back to FNAF. So after Tisa and I had this moment where we're talking about storytelling, he started talking about this hippo character, and after he kills you, so FNAF is a game where the whole point of it is to try to catch the creatures before they scare you. And they scare you to death and they eat you and whatever. But the whole point of it, it's like one of those tension building games where you know something's going to happen, but don't know what direction it's going to come from and whatever. So apparently when these creatures get you, they have like an exit line. Or they say something when they get you. When the hippo gets you, he tells you a story like an old man. He's just like this old man. He talks like an old man. He has a cadence of an old man. So Elias wanted to play me one of the stories that this hippo tells you when he gets you. The story happened to be about storytelling. And so it was just weird that Tisa and I had this whole conversation about it, and then turn around and Elias shows us something from his video game that was about exactly the same thing that we had been talking about just a little bit ago. So 2 things happened this morning. So moments like this, you can say, okay, well, that's just a coincidence. That's just something that happens. Or they could be ellipses that tell you that you're doing exactly the right thing at the right time and you're exactly where you need to be. Or they could just be things that happened and, there's no more correlation than that. I like to think that it's the universe saying, hey, you're doing a good job. This is where you should be. This is how things need to be right now. And right now I'm in a process of changing. I'm in a process of becoming the dreams that I have, living my intentions, and I'm in the process of manifesting big, huge things in my life. So this week I've had a lot of those moments. And some of those moments I can manufacture. Like, I have 5 oracle cards that I pull once a week. And almost every week, they all line up. Like, this week, the oracle cards that I pulled is, one of them says, my future starts today. One of them is a nightingale, and a nightingale says that you need to use your creative spirit to do something. I got the flame as my archetype, which is a tool to be able to feel the presence of the sacred in your soul. And then the 4th one I got was, it says, by healing internally, I will make peace with the world. They all kind of line up. They all have the same theme. They all have the same, and I didn't do it on purpose. I pulled them randomly. So, every week they do this for me. They all kind of line up and tell me a message that I need to take into the next week with me. I've had the same experience with crystals. When I need to know something, I will be pulled into the direction of a certain type of crystal. For a long time it was fluorite, and then it was yellow jade, and right now I'm feeling a lot of red jasper in my life. So all of those things, they could be coincidences. They could all just be made up in my head. It could all be new age mumbo jumbo, but for me, I like to think that they're the universe telling me I'm in the right direction. I'm being pointed in the right path. This week's been kind of a big week for me. I've been starting to try to manifest my destiny in Colorado, trying to look at where I'd like to end up and kind of, perusing the want ads, even though nobody's really hiring right now. It's not the right time, but I'm kind of looking. And I'm trying to be more open with more people about my intention to move, because it's a big deal. The other thing that I've done this week is I've figured out what I want to do with my life and what direction I want to go in. I want to go back to school. I applied at a college that is going to let me learn at my own pace. So as fast or as slow as I want to go, it's going to let me do that. It's an all-online college, and I want to study psychology, because one of the directions that I've been pulled to very strongly this week has been Carl Jung, Jung. He is a psychologist. He created the cognitive psychology. He is also a very spiritual man who created archetypes and different kinds of personas and all of those things. And all of these theories are like, oh, I get it. I want to know more. I want to know more. I want to dig in more. I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper. I want to learn everything I can about him and his theories and his ideas. He has a whole part of his theory is about the occult, and he's just so fascinating, and I never heard of him before. And so I was doing a little bit of research online, and I'm like, okay, I think I want to be a theorist. I think I want to come up with theories and research and study and learn from the best. And what do I do to do that? So I've kind of decided that I want to go to school for psychology. I don't want to be a therapist, but I want to learn and get my bachelor's degree in that, and then I can get my master's degree in Jungian theory. And so that's what I want to do. So that's the direction I'm going to go, and it feels right, and it feels strong, and it feels better than any direction that I've tried before. So I applied to college this week, and I have a theory, and a plan, and an idea, and so now it's just moving in that direction and making all of those things happen. So the book I want to read is kind of cliche, because it is, but it is also one of my favorite books. Every time I read it, I'm in awe. I'm so in awe of this book that I follow the author around on social media, and I listen to everything she has to say, and I read all of her books, and I listen to, I like her so much that her partner, who died a couple years ago, I read her book too. But it's Elizabeth Gilbert's Eat, Pray, Love. And I want to talk about this book specifically in this moment because what Elizabeth Gilbert did was she came up with a plan. She's like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I need to do this. So 3 months she spent in Italy to learn Italian and to eat and to explore the food. She spent 3 months in India to practice spirituality, to live in an ashram, to learn better meditation and everything. And then she spent 3 months in Bali to learn from a guru who was there. And what this journey did, this plan, is it opened doors for her she never thought possible. It opened ideas about herself she never thought possible. It gave her self-healing and all of these different things in her life, and she manifested them by having this simple plan that what she wanted to do is this, and it's simple. But it was way more than that, and it went deep, and it changed her, who she was fundamentally, and she found happiness at the end. So that's what I'm hoping, that by having these ideas of these things that I want, and by moving in that direction, that maybe I can get there too. So yeah, that's where I'm at this week. That's where my headspace is, and just look for those little moments of coincidence, and wonder, is this a coincidence? Or is this simply the universe telling me I'm headed in the right direction? Anyway, thank you so much. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.